This is the second part of the lesson, Shot in the Dark. And we had done up to the line, the vigorous pantomime did not draw forth any remark from Slatherby, who resumed his scrutiny of the magazine. We saw that the suffering of the person sitting near Slatherby had not at all influenced him, and he was reading newspaper magazine very carefully, even more carefully than before. After seeing all the pantomime of that person, "I say," exclaimed a young voice presently, "didn't I hear you say you were going down to stay with Mrs. Solpen Jago at Brill Manor?" And when he did not pay any attention to that person, the person himself started talking with Mr. Slitherby and said that, "I say, I thought that you were going to stay with Mrs. Saltman Jago." And he told that, she's, what a coincidence. Coincidence. My mother, I'm coming there on Monday evening, so we shall meet. So he himself introduced himself to Mr. Slitherby and said that Mrs. Solpen Jago was his mother, and he was to come to Brill Manor on Monday, and Monday evening. So he will meet him. I am quite a stranger, haven't seen mother for 6 months at least. And he didn't see his mother for at least 6 months. I was away yachting last time she was in town, and when she came to town for the last time, he was yachting. That means he had a habit of yachting, and afterwards we will see that he had a habit of fishing, of all these things, and he is a rambler, as you saw before. I am Bertie, the second son. I say, it's an awfully lucky coincidence that I should run across someone who knows my mother. Just at this particular moment, I have done an awfully awkward thing. And he became very much happy that he met someone who was his mother's acquaintance, and he was in a trouble. He might, and the acquaintance might pull him out of the suffering, from his suffering. "You have lost something, haven't you?" said Slitherby. "Not exactly, but left behind, which is almost as bad." When Slitherby asked him that if he had lost anything, then he said, "No, I haven't lost anything, but it is as bad as losing it. I have left it behind, but it is just as inconvenient, that means disadvantageous, troublesome as losing the thing wholly. I have come away without my coin purse." Now he said that problem he was passing through, that he had left the coin purse with 4 quid. Quid means the currency of England, £1 sterling. In it all my worldly wealth for the moment. It was the whole money he had got at the time. It was in my pocket all right, just before I was starting, and then I wanted to seal a letter, and the coin purse happens to have my crest on it. So I whipped it out to stamp the seal with, and like an idiot, I must have left it on the table. And he explained the whole thing. He had to seal a letter, stamp given on the letter, and it was of his family. The crest means heraldry, or the insignia, or nowadays we call it insignia or badge. It was in his coin purse, and he had stamped the letter with that crest, and after sealing the letter, he had left the purse on the table. I should have put it back. I had some change loose in my pocket, but after I had paid for a taxi and my ticket, I only got this sixpence left. He left the coin purse and spent all the money except 6 pence left in his pocket. And I am stopping at a little country inn near Bronquay for 3 days fishing. Not a soul knows me there, and my weekend bill and tips and cab to from the station and my ticket on to Brill, that will mount up to 2 or 3 quid, won't it? And then he said that he had so many expenses left. Even now he is staying in an inn in near the near Bronquay, and fishing, he fishing there for 3 days, and all these things would have a good expense for him. And it would he had to pay at least 2 to 3 quid. And won't it, if you wouldn't mind lending me £2 or 10 or 3 for a preference, I shall be awfully obliged. He then requested Mr. Sletherby, if you lend me the money for my expense, then it would be very kind of you, and I shall be awfully obliged. It will pull me out of a hole, man. That means it would take him out of the misery. I think I can manage that, said Sletherby after a moment's hesitation. Here you see, Sletherby is reflected as a person or character who is very careful and self-centered, selfish, only thinking about his own interest, own profit, and he is very cautious about everything. So he hesitated to lend money to a stranger because he didn't know that person. So he thinking doubtfully, he said, okay, I can give it to you. Thanks awfully, it's jolly good of you. That was very good of you. What a lucky thing for me that I should have chanced across one of my mother's friends. So that person was very happy. He said, it's I am very lucky that I have met a person who knows my mother, and it will be a lesson to me not to leave my purse lying about anywhere when it ought to be in my pocket. I suppose the moral of the whole thing is, don't try and convert things to purposes for which they are not intended. Still, when a coin purse has your crest on it, so he explained, he was actually feeling guilty. That is why he told that he was responsible for the whole thing, and he did the wrong thing, and all these things he was telling Mr. Sletherby, because he was feeling guilty. He was borrowing money from Mr. Sletherby. What is your crest, by the way? Sletherby asked carelessly. But Sletherby was very cautious. He asked him, what is your crest? That means, what is the sign of your crest? Not a very common one, said the youth, a demi-lion holding a crisscrosslet in its paw. That is a demi-lion. That is the half of it is like a lion. And the crisscrosslet, that means a symbol in the shape of a cross used on coat of arms. It is like two cross together. One is horizontal and one is vertical. Two cross together. That is crisscrosslet. And demi-lion is half lion. And this is my crest. But here Sletherby then told him, when your mother wrote to me, giving me a list of trains she had, if I remember rightly, a running greyhound on her notepaper. He remembered everything very meticulously. That his mother had wrote to him, and which had on a letterhead. Notepaper means nowadays we call it letterhead, and which had a symbol of a running greyhound on it. Observed Sletherby. There was a tinge of coldness in his voice. Now he has become somewhat reticent, uncompassionate. Here, before he had some sympathy for that person, but now he has no sympathy in his voice. so he has become cold. He is doubting something, suspecting the person. That is the Jago crest, responded the youth promptly. But the youth was not at all feeling uneasy, because he was not lying. Immediately told that, oh, that is Jago crest. That means here the surname of Mrs. Solpen Jago, there are two titles. One is Solpen and one is Jago. And that is the Jago crest. Jago, maybe it was her, the surname of her own father, own parents, and the salt pen is the surname of her in-laws. So that is two are joined together. Responded Jago crest. That is the Jago crest. Responded the youth promptly. The Demilion is the salt pen crest. Then Demilion is the crest of the salt pen. We have the right to use both, but I always use the Demilion, because after all we are really salt pens. So we have a right to use both, but I always use salt pens. There was silence for a moment or two, and the young man began to collect his fishing tackle and other belongings from the rack. And after some moment, the young man collected his fishing tackle. Tackle means equipment, and belongings from the rack. Uh, it was kept on the rack of the railway carriage. And he took it off, and my station is the next one, he announced. He declared that his station is coming. I have never met your mother, said Slatherby suddenly, though we have corresponded several times. My introduction to her was through political friends. Doesn't she resemble you at all in feature? I should rather like to be able to pick her out if she happened to be on the platform to meet me. And he said that, you see, I haven't met your mother ever. So, does she look like you? Resemble means look like you. uh, I should rather like to be able to pick her out if she happened to be on the, and if you say this, then it will be easier for me to find her out if she was in the platform. And this is the second part of this story, and I will continue with it in the third part. And please, students, stay there, and thank you. Subscribe my channel.